Welcome back, everybody. We have arrived at number 26 in our ranking. And another, maybe controversial pick here, we have the German master Adolf Anderssen, born in 1818, dies in 1879 on the 26th spot. I'm not quite sure, we'll get into this, if the pure results merit that high a spot, but he also gave the world the immortal game, the evergreen game, some other games that Peter likes. Where do we stand on Anderssen?
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed with his tournament result to some extent, but I get what you're saying. But, well, if we look at his sort of world ranking by Sonas, he is number one, but only for 6 months, which of course is, well, good, but not for the Hall of Fame standards. It's okay, but nothing more than that. I guess where he excels is that he actually wins 2 tournaments which are kind of considered world championship tournaments. He wins in 1851, and he wins in 1862. So with sort of 11 years difference, he actually managed to prove himself as the world best player twice. And then in 1866, he comes in second. So he has a lot of durability. He's in the debate for world's best players for really a long time. And 2 times he, well, can crown himself unofficial world champion based on the current format, or how you would say it. Of course, in 58, he loses to Morphy with a clear margin. And had Morphy not existed, probably would have Anderssen higher than as he is now as 26. But, well, you can't ignore Morphy, and we will talk much more about Morphy at a later stage without spoiling too much, obviously. So I think he belongs here. You can debate Sugator and him, for instance, who should be highest and things like that. But Anderssen has some kind of longevity and still 2 world championship wins, which is something we rate very highly in that sense. Against him is maybe only world number 1 for a limited amount of time, and his peak rating of 2744 is not, I mean, exceptional in any kind of way. But there's a lot of things, and especially the world championship record, I think, counts a lot, and also the fact that it is not just 2 tournaments within 1 year he wins. It's actually with a huge difference in time, and he managed to prove himself as a world elite player, or even the best for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how this half year and the historical rating is being deducted. From what I read, he's also considered the best from 1851 till 1858. Maybe Morphy was better before their match, but he had that reputation. So
yeah,
he does have these things going
I
for him.
agree. It sounds like a low number, and well, some serious hosts would likely have checked that, right? But well, that's where we are at. And no, I genuinely agree that Anderssen is known to be quite the strongest player, but probably, well, these kind of historical rating can be based on the relatively few Morphy games there is, for instance. Also, when we spoke about Larsen a bit earlier, well, Fischer will still be on the rating lists, pushing Larsen down, despite that he actually doesn't play any games for a couple of years, right, and such. So, well, I think we have just decided that we stick with Sonas's numbers, but I generally agree with what you are saying, that to rate him as only the best players for half a year in the world is not reasonable, and that I think we have calculated that into our verdict, as I see.
Yeah. We would need some proper historians to educate us. Also, I'll bring up Paulsen in every video now, who's an honorable mention, who had a good score against Anderssen. So these things at that time, since I didn't play for rating all the time, aren't that exact.
But when you mention Paulsen, for instance, when he wins in this tournament in 1862, I mean, Paulsen is second, but he's 2 points behind Anderssen. It's Anderssen, Paulsen, and then comes Owen and McDonald's and Dubois and Steinitz, for instance, and such. Later down we have Blackburn. So, I mean, they have faced each other, and at least in this one tournament, Anderssen comes out at top. Actually, the World Championship tournament in 1851 is quite interesting, in the sense that it's a knockout tournament. There is simply 16 players playing a knockout, which is something we almost see as Kirsan's invention much later in chess history. But they actually have an event where he starts by beating Kieseritzky 2-0, then he beat Chen 3-2, and then he beats Staunton 4-1 before actually beating Wivell 4-2 in the final. And they simply just have a normal knockout tournament like we have World Cups nowadays. It's funny to think of that this actually existed in 1851. It's puzzling to me, but quite cool. And it's the founder of German chess popularity. You probably have some wise word to say about that. So.
Not a lot, really, actually. But it's, once again, since it's so long ago, when I think of German chess, I usually think of, Lasker being the big name. Then you bring up Hübner. Somehow Anderssen doesn't come up in these debates very often.
I'm just teasing you. I mean, Nimzowitsch is not... I understand he was a Danish citizen and lived there for quite a while, but it's, he didn't have any kind of personal touch or influence in that sense.
What I heard of early on were the Immortal and the Evergreen game, but I didn't really associate it with
No, and that's
German
the same for me. I mean, I also know these games, and somehow he became an icon where you see him as two beautiful games, or flashy games rather, than instead of a sporting character, right? I mean, there he gets somewhat shortchanged. I mean, it's almost that this kind of brilliance it overshadows the man who actually had a career for more than 20 years and won World Championship tournaments, right? I mean, and that is a bit of the revelation that he was kind of a serious guy, to put in that sense. And well, as we see his games, of course, we will see this highlight, but we will also see that he actually could play in a surprising manner, I would say.
This game is an Immortal game. It wasn't even played in that 1851 tournament. No, I think it was some casual game.
I don't know. I mean, as far as I remember, there's also debates about if it's almost made up to that extent, right? I mean, when we saw the earlier La Bodani game, I mean, this incredible beauty with the 3 pawns. I mean, the impressive thing is that it happens at the highest level in a tournament game, right? This one, who is his opponent?
Kizaritsky.
Ah, okay, sure. I don't think it's from this tournament, but I'm not sure actually. So.
No, I think it was a friendly side game. It is pretty though. We'll just show the final combination. E5, he sacrifices this rook. King E2. He was just a good tactician. He always has these somewhat hidden mating threats. The Evergreen game is similar with the queen sacrifice.
I think this has been checked with the computer, right? And that there is nothing to debate here. So.
Yeah. Knight A6, he's trying to cover C7, but Queen F6, bit of a problem for black. Knight F6, Bishop E7. Okay, it's beautiful. It's not the deepest combination I've ever seen, but...
the beauty is that the attack is unstoppable, despite down a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But, also, it has this kind of too good to be true thing, and it might actually be too good to be true, right? So
I do not know.
No, it doesn't matter, but this is basically the game we all know about him, right? When I sort of saw a manuscript by a book by Frank Hofmeister, I was very impressed with another diagram, the one you will show next. Yeah.
Where do we go?
This one. Yeah, you have to go back some moves. When the knight is on C6. Sorry.
Knight on C6.
There's
the knight.
Exactly. Take. Okay. So D5, Queen A7, takes, King H2. Yeah.
Queen A7, nice move. King H2.
This position. That
Knight D4.
Sorry?
He didn't go Knight D4?
No, that is the point. I mean, well, it is kind of tempting, no? I mean...
For sure.
Yeah. But, and that's the point. This is a game between Steinitz and Anderssen. And we see Steinitz as the positional strong player and Steinitz as the hacker. But it's actually Anderssen who is outplaying him here. And, the knight d4 is the obvious move. But after knight d4, it might actually be a positional draw. I mean, well, you go queen d3. And the knight is actually stuck on d4. And what are you going to do next? Well, I know what you're going to do. But, yeah, it's not so easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can put your king somewhere, try to open with g6, but you might not succeed. Also, I could take the bishop to f1.
So what you're saying is we need the knight on c5 in order to win. And here,
I mean, it's not rocket science, I understand, but still, I mean, it's So he goes, I think he goes knight d8, right? Knight b8 would
Yeah.
be the other move. I mean, well, of course, modern people with computers and such will start thinking, okay, let's sacrifice with c5 now. But maybe I think A, it's not that strong, and B, let's not spoil, I mean, impressive positional performance by sort of modern style tactics.
No checkmate over here, it looks like. And
But
here comes the
not
knight.
really, right? He's just defending things
going
and
back.
then bringing the king to safety, and will win on his, yeah.
Yeah, well played.
I mean, it is actually very well played, right? And it's just structural, positional stuff from someone who is just known as a hacker, right? I mean, it's not fair. The guy was one of the best players in the world for 20 years and won world championships. And as you could see, had quite some understanding about positional chess. So, I mean,
Yeah, this just looks like a good game once again.
it's against Steinitz, right? It's not against Kieseritsky in a friendly game. So, no, this is, I mean, now comes a bit of tactics to spoil it, right? But yeah.
No, point taken. He was more complete than
Yeah,
maybe
no.
we
I
give
mean,
him
again,
credit
it's
for
one
from
game,
these
but it's
videos.
just that. Well, this beautiful combination and perhaps fake games overshadows that the guy actually could do quite some things, I think. So
Yeah.
we have sent him into the Hall of Fame.
Fair enough. He does get destroyed by Murphy and Steinitz, but those
Yeah.
guys we will meet later on the list.
Yeah, but I mean, well, this win is actually against Steinitz, but against Murphy there is just no debate, and that's why. Well, yeah, sorry, but your German forefather cannot get any higher than 26.
That's all right. Okay, this was Mr. Anderssen. We will see you at the 25th spot.